You are listening to the Done with Dieting podcast, episode number 15. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Sherman, former corporate high-tech executive turned life and weight loss coach. But it doesn't seem like it was that long ago that I was searching for that perfect diet. You know, the one that would finally be the magic pill to lose the weight that I so desired. Fast forward past tons of failed diets, endless hours of exercise, and painful lessons learned. And although I still have not reached the state of nirvana body love bliss that I truly desire, my relationship with food, exercise, and my body is infinitely better than it was not only when I started this journey, but even as recently as 3 years ago. This journey has allowed me to ditch my scale, stop logging my food and exercise, eat food that wasn't prepared by me, and I can easily maintain my weight, something that I never thought was possible. I created the Done with Dieting podcast to give you simple, easy to do, and sustainable strategies and ideas to help you do the exact same thing without all of the drama that I went through. If you're a woman who's looking to create a better relationship with food, exercise, and her body, get off the diet roller coaster and free up all of that headspace spent on calories, how you look, what you should eat, and beating yourself up for not doing what you think you should be doing, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So today I would like to talk about other people's success. Now, you know what I'm talking about. When other people lose weight and what we think about that, what we make it mean about us, and what we make it mean about them. And now I know this is kind of a weird topic because we don't really think about how other people's success in weight loss impacts us, but sometimes we make other people losing weight mean something about our inability to lose weight, or we can use it as evidence of why we're not good enough. And I hear this from clients and women online all the freaking time. So for example, let's say that we're doing keto or some type of diet with our partner, or we're doing a fitness challenge with a group of friends. And what happens is we get discouraged because we're just not losing the weight as quickly as our partner or as other people in the group. We use our lack of success as evidence of why we should just give up, right? This happens to us all the freaking time. We see someone else losing weight and we get all resentful because it appears from our point of view that it's been easy for them. And so we compare our journey to theirs, believing that it should be easier. And because of that, we decide that we don't like them, they don't deserve it, or they haven't put in the reps, right? They haven't put in the reps that we have. And all of these other crazy thoughts that just leave us feeling bad, resentful, jealous, and just plain bitter. Which then leads to thoughts of why even bother if I'm not losing weight, if I'm not making progress, because it doesn't matter. Which then leads to thoughts of why even bother if I'm not making progress, because it doesn't matter. I should just eat whatever I want because I haven't lost any weight anyway. Which we all know is a big, fat lie. But it feels so convincing in the moment. And because of that, we eat all the things. And then the diet binge regret cycle begins. And what we're actually witnessing here is what's called the think, feel, act cycle. I've talked about it before. When we start a new weight loss program, we get really excited about it because the thoughts that we're having in our heads are, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be fantastic. I'm going to lose all this weight, and we feel motivated, right? And when we feel motivated, we do all the things that we're supposed to do. We eat all the vegetables, we drink all the water, we go for walks, we find ways to be active so that we can get to our, steps counter on our watch, and we prioritize our sleep. And when we do these things, we get the results that we want, right? But then one day we notice that someone else is doing quote unquote better than us, right? Maybe our partner comes down and announces that they've lost 5 pounds. And so excited, we get on the scale and we see that we've only lost 2 pounds. And so immediately we get discouraged because it seems like they haven't even been trying. And we get discouraged because of our thoughts. It's the think, feel, act cycle, right? We get discouraged because the thought that pops up in our heads is that they're doing better than me, that I should be further along, that this is hard, or I'm never going to get to my goal at this rate. And those thoughts are totally unhelpful at best, and potentially self-sabotaging at worst. And in fact, when we have thoughts like that, when we're standing on the scale, we start to feel discouraged. And what happens when we feel discouraged? We give up on doing the things that were working for us. We stop doing them, all the while forgetting that we've actually made some progress, that we're actually 2 pounds closer to our goal than we were before. But our brains completely hijack the process. Our brains immediately think, but I'm actually 3 pounds behind because that's what my partner did, right? That's how we think. We don't think about our progress. We don't think about how much better we've done. We think about how much further along they are or how much further behind we are in comparison to them. They're doing better than us, so therefore I suck. That's what our brains do. And so what I want to do today is I want to help you get out of your head when you start comparing yourself to other people and their success. Because comparison is totally the thief of joy. Like seriously, when we compare what we have to other people, we are always going to come up short. And it doesn't even matter. Our brains always think that other people have it better. Always, 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 always. But what if we can use other people's success as evidence that what they're doing is possible for us as well? It's a total mindset shift. It can take some work, but it's a mindset shift that if used correctly, it can totally fan the flame of motivation versus completely blowing it out. And it can help you to make weight loss not feel like such a slog or a battle. Because what it does is it takes us out of being the victim and it places us in control. Because when we have thoughts like, they're doing better than me, I'm not doing as well as them, or I'm not meant to lose weight, what that does is it makes us feel victimized, right? And just to be clear, when I'm using the term victim here, I'm not talking about actual victims of crime, but rather what's called victim mentality. When we are the victim of unfortunate circumstances. We all do this once in a while, okay? It's totally normal to find ourselves feeling like a victim. And when we identify as a victim in a situation, what it does is it makes us feel that something is happening to us. It makes us feel powerless. And when we feel powerless, we feel like we don't have control. And that life is happening to us and that we don't have agency over our own circumstances. And then we feel like we don't have power or control, or we take control over the things that we're able to control, which can often be food. When we stop playing the victim, it gives us an opportunity to take control of our lives and take responsibility for what's happening to us and to our bodies. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've observed that there are about 3 different beliefs that we have that are underlying our feelings of resentment towards other people's success. The first is one of scarcity. Like these people who are losing weight are using up all of the weight loss. And I know it sounds totally silly to say that out loud, but it's kind of true, right? That's what's happening. It's like our brain says, oh my gosh, she's lost 5 pounds. I was supposed to be the one to lose 5 pounds, not her. Those are my pounds, right? That was meant for me. She's lost my weight. We think that way. Maybe not those exact words, but those are the feelings underlying it, right? When we think about it logically, it doesn't make any sense. And it's absolutely silly because there's no pie in the sky of weight loss that if someone loses weight, that it takes away from our ability to lose weight. That somehow there's not enough for us as well. That health and weight loss are actually abundant. And my success has nothing to do with other people's success and vice versa. And so there's no pie in the sky that specifies that when someone loses weight, then that's not available to you as well. There's plenty of health and weight loss to go around for everyone, if we want it. And so other people aren't using it up, and weight loss and health are completely abundant and even available to you. And when we think in those terms, what happens is it takes the competition away from your journey and those who are around you. When weight loss and health are abundant to everyone, then it takes the pressure off. And someone else succeeding in their goals can then be proof it's available to us as well. And that actually ties into the second lower brain suggestion, which is that I'm never going to get to my goal. This is going to take forever. Now, I think I have a pretty good analogy for this one. Years ago, when I used to drive, and I was constantly late. I was late a lot. But years ago, when I used to be late, I would imagine that as I was getting on the expressway, that I was racing all of the other cars. Have you ever done that? It's so funny. So anyway, I would imagine that I was racing all of these other cars. But even more than that, and not intentionally, for example, my husband and I were headed to an event, let's say a concert or something like that, and we would merge onto the highway. I would see all these cars, and immediately I would start to get anxious. My immediate thought would be something along the lines of, oh my God, we have to get ahead of these cars. They're going to beat us to the venue and get all of the good parking spots, and there won't be any left for us. And I would totally feel anxious, like, oh my gosh, there's not going to be enough. Now, here's the funny thing. I eventually realized that none of these other cars were going to the same place that we were going. They just happened to be using the same route. Now, stick with me here for this analogy, because I think that we all have a little bit of that comparison syndrome in us, that we think that other people are going to get there faster, right? That we're afraid that we're going to miss out. And somehow we're going to be left behind, or we're not going to make it there at all. But as I mentioned before, when it comes to weight loss and health, it's completely abundant for all of us. And I want to suggest that if we don't stop and turn around and go home, we will actually get there. And so when we think about this highway example, it's actually the perfect metaphor for weight loss because we are all on a completely different journey. There are going to be traffic jams, also known as plateaus, which will slow everything down. And that can be really frustrating. Knowing that we are all in our own cars, we need to stay in our own lane. Everyone who is on the expressway, we are all coming from different places in life. We all have different experiences. We all have different desires and end goals. Some people are going to be on that highway for a longer period of time. Other people are going to hop on, and when they see traffic backed up, they're going to hop off and look for a different route. And then they're going to end up back on the expressway further back because they tried to take this detour that didn't work, also known as diet, in case you weren't familiar with it. Some people started out earlier and will exit before we do, and others will enter as we're getting off. If we want to be successful, we need to stay in our own lane. We need to pay attention to the obstacles in the road. And if we do that in due time, we will be able to complete our journey. And so I love this metaphor because all we need to do is figure out our own way. And what I want to suggest is that when you are figuring out your own body and figuring out what your body needs, what you are doing is you're learning what is going to be right for you. It's almost like the universe has given us the lesson that we need when we need it. And it's the equivalent of keeping your eyes on the road, because when we start looking around at other drivers, we get distracted with what they're doing and we lose focus on what we are doing. One person is eating, that other person is on his phone, maybe there's a cute dog. And when we start seeing other people changing lanes and exiting, we start to wonder, oh my God, do they know something that we don't? And we start to get FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Or we look at what other people are doing and we take our eyes off the road, we take our eyes off the car in front of us, and we get in an accident, which delays us even further. If we're looking at other people's driving and we're paying attention to what other people are doing, judging them or thinking that they know something that we don't, even though Waze is telling me to stay on the expressway, we are always going to come up short in holding the belief that what I'm learning or what I'm doing right now is right for me at this time. And so if we can focus on the fact that what we are doing is right for us, if we can focus on health and staying in our lane, we know that we will get there. Maybe not as fast as we would like, but we will get there without accidents and without failures. Now, the third thought error that I think we have when we look at other people's success is that we look at other people's success as evidence of our not enoughness. The way that it presents itself is that other people are better because they're having success, which, when we think about it, that somehow someone else losing weight is evidence that we're not good enough. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you probably know this already, but many of you don't, that I actually used to play roller derby. And I didn't play competitive roller derby. I used to play in a recreational league. My name was Barbell. And this league was started by a friend of mine who wanted to play roller derby and got a bunch of her other friends who were moms together to form a league called the Austin Roller Moms. And so this league was started by a bunch of women who are truly amazing, but many of them are moms and they played roller derby at the same time. And I love them all. They're just fantastic. And it was just totally fun. And this is totally a tangent, that they all had different roller derby names that were mom related. Like some of my favorites were Obi-Mom Kenobi, like a riff on Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Mamakaze, which is a riff on Kamikaze. And so anyway, the way that I was introduced to the league was through a friend of mine, and her name is Betty Cracker. And Betty Cracker is just this amazing woman. You would absolutely love her. Now, Betty isn't someone who you would imagine as being a roller girl by any stretch of the imagination. She's not super aggressive, angry, or like in your face. And I hope she's not going to be upset for me saying this about her, but if you met her, she's very soft-spoken, a little awkward, super, super smart, and totally looks like a librarian. And if you were to meet her, you would never believe in a million years that she played roller derby. And so at the time, I was looking for a new athletic type of adventure. So when I decided to do roller derby, I was able to look at Betty Cracker and say, well, if she can do it, then that's evidence that I can totally do it too. And so why can't we use that same line of thinking when we're looking at other people and their weight loss? How is that different? Everyone's success can be evidence. We can use the evidence of all the people around us. Not that we aren't meant to do it, but rather it's because it's available to them and all the other people around us that it can be available to us as well. That instead of thinking that those other people somehow have some sort of magic idea, or that those people have some sort of secret that we aren't in on, maybe what we can do is use their success not as comparison that we can't do it too, or that we're not enough, but rather as evidence that it's available to us as well. We think that other people have it easier because we see their success, and we don't see the struggle that's happening inside their head or behind closed doors. We don't see the years of attempts and failures. We don't see the battles that they fought in their brain. We don't know which lanes they've been in. We don't know what exit they've entered on the expressway. And maybe they've been trying to do this for years and years and years, and it's finally clicked because they were able to reflect back on all of their various attempts, and they learned what was useful for them. They applied that and then threw the rest away. They got rid of the shoulds, the you're supposed to's, the rules, and started focusing not on everyone else's stuff, but started focusing on their stuff. we can use that evidence that it's going to click for us as well. We just need to look at this experience from a learner's point of view. We need to have the experience of looking at all of this from a learner's perspective, not from the perspective of following directions, but rather discovery. We can figure this out, but we need to figure it out for ourselves. There's no white knight who's going to save us. We get to be the hero of our own story. Understanding that as midlife women, our bodies are completely different than they were when we were in our 20s. Even when we were in our 30s, our hormones are completely different today. And so therefore, food, exercise, sleep, stress, all of those things that we do are going to affect us differently as well. When we use the perspective of looking at weight loss from the point of view of curiosity and discovery, then what happens is we can be so much more successful. And if we don't use other people's success against ourselves, then we totally have it made. We can be successful because, again, their success is evidence that it's possible for us as well. And so I want to invite you to believe that instead of getting jealous of other people's success, instead of being envious and using other people's success against you, which just feels terrible, what I want to invite you to think about is that we can use other women in midlife losing weight as evidence that it's available to us as well. We see it in commercials and ads all the time. And when it gets closer to us, when it's up close and personal, that becomes evidence that it's getting closer and closer and it's even more and more available. Start looking for evidence of health and weight loss around you and start having the attitude, if she can do it, I can freaking do it too, because it's absolutely available to you. And that's the God's honest truth. Okay? That's all I have for you today. I hope you found this motivating, uplifting, and you can totally do this. I'm going to invite you to listen to this podcast whenever you need a little boost. Have an amazing week, everyone. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for listening. If you're done with dieting and would like to work with me as your coach, I'd like to invite you to reach out to myself and my team to ask about programs and pricing. Go to elizabethsherman.com/contact to get started today. I can't wait to hear from you. See you next week.